Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. Sa mga parte ng mundo kayo naroon. Kayo po ay nasa Iparas kay Paras at ito inyong lingkod Ado Paglinawan ng Maestro na bumabating muli, Secretary.
Yes, sir. Paring Ado, magandang hapon muli sa iyo. At of course, sa ating mga mahal na mga kababayan, magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat. Dito tayo sa programa Iparas kay Paras. At hindi po nawawala itong issue, mga kababayan, tungkol sa
South Tennessee.
Pangamba ng maraming Pilipino na maraming mamamatay dahil sa tinutulak na giyera ng Amerikano at ng Philippine government against China. Bakit hindi natin masasabing tinutulak ang giyera ng mga ito? Parati nilang sinasabi na yung Mutual Defense Treaty ay ironclad daw. At parati nilang sinasabi na ang mga kano daw ay will come to our rescue whenever there will be any person, property that will be, the person will be dead or property will be damaged in the course of the exchanges between the Philippines and China. Dahil diyan, dito sa issue na ito, inaakusa nila si President Duterte na nagkaroon ng secret deal. Paring Ado, anong masasabi mo dito sa issue na ito?
Well, unang-una, walang secret deal. Mismo galing kay Presidente Duterte. Merong agreement, but only insofar as maintaining the status quo na namana niya mula from the previous administration.
Okay. Bago natin widen ang ating discussion dyan. Ito muna, yung pananalita ni Marcos Jr. na parang batang maliit.
It turns out, we don't know, it is a secret agreement. We don't know anything about it. There is no documentation, there is no record, there is no... We were not briefed when I came into office. Walang nagsabi sa amin na meron ganung usapan. So we're trying to really up to now, because from the former administration, iba-ibang sagot eh. Sabi ng isang opisyal dating government official under the previous administration, there is no such agreement. Sabi naman ng isa, no, there is and we should honor it. Sabi naman ng iba, maganda yan. Sabi ng iba, hindi maganda yan. Hindi pa namin alam kung ano ba talaga yung agreement na yan. But kung ang sinasabi sa agreement na yan na kailangan tayong magpermiso sa ibang bansa para gumalaw sa ating sariling teritoryo, ay mahirap siguro sundan yung kanyang klaseng agreement.
Kami na nakakaalam sa mga issues ay naaawa sa ating Pangulo, Macoy Jr. na wala man lang nag-advise, wala man lang
naglakas ng loob
na, sir, huwag ka muna sasalita, sir, kasi mukhang walang saysay po yung mga sinasabi tungkol dyan sa secret agreement, sa mga dinadaldal mo na walang mga dokumento, at ganito, ganyan. Unang-una, si Lorenzana, nasa gobyerno ngayon ni Marcos, being I think, chairman ng BCDA. Kasama siya ni Duterte doon sa pag-uusap kay Xi Jinping. Okay. Si
Ed Año.
Itong Ed Año, nandyan ngayon sa National Security Council as the chairman or
National Security Advisor.
Nandyan ngayon.
Advisor.
So, nandyan si Ricky Manalo, dating undersecretary yan. Sa panahon ni panahon ni Yasay, panahon ni Cayetano, andyan yan. Itong issue about what we're talking about here, itong sinasabi nilang subject matter of Duterte and Xi Jinping, hindi ito sa panahon lamang ni Duterte, mga kababayan. This went previously pa,
Ayan.
panahon ni Estrada, where it all started, itong issue sa Ayungin Shoal, at lalong nabulatlat ito sa panahon ni Noynoy Aquino, and sinalo lang ito ni Duterte, mga kababayan, kasi medyo nagkaroon ng hidwaan between China and the Philippines. Lumala yung hidwaan because of the tribunal. Yung pagdala nila ng kaso sa tribunal. At doon nagkaroon ng malaking chasm between the relationship of the Philippines and China. Now, ang dami pong mga dokumento, Mr. McCoy Jr., pero walang naglakas loob sa mga alipores mo na magsabi sa iyo kung anong mga katotohanan. Nagmumukha ka tuloy na basang sisiw. You talk about secret deals, secret agreement. You talk about you don't know what's going on. There are no documents. Walang nagsasabi sa iyo. Tapos, ang pinapakinggan mo, yung mga chismoso na Hali Roque at sige Panelo, at doon ka nakikinig, imbis na magtanong ka kay Lorenzana, magtanong ka kay Gibo, pinadig up mo yung records ng Department of National Defense, kinakausap mo si Manalo kung what transpired during the visit of Duterte with Cayetano or with certain officials of DFA during the meeting with Xi Jinping. Ito po, nandyan po lahat. Nagkaroon pa ng investigasyon ng hearing ang Senado. Pwede kang kumuha ng record sa archives ng Senado kung anong nagkaroon ng hearing dyan. So, nagmumukha ka po tuloy na kakatawa-tawa, parang pinapabayaan ka ng mga tao mo na magsasalita. Tulad nung nagdadaldal ka doon sa the biggest drug haul. Pinapabayaan ka, binigyan ka ng information na mali. 1.8 million tons. Or 1.8 tons. 1.8 tons. 13 billion yung
Talaga.
Tapos only for them to backtrack, but you have already got stuck in the mud by saying this. Biggest haul, we don't need to kill anybody, ganyan-ganyan. Well, in fact, wala ka pang kaalam-alam kung ano pong nangyayari. So, going back to this, Mr. Marcos, as early as kay Mr. Estrada, sinadya ni Mercado, the DND Secretary, na ilubog yang ibahura yang BRP Sierra Madre. Then, after that, nagiging conflict na yan ng Aquino government. Ito po, mayroon tayong dokumento na nagsasabi na since then, China was already trying to persuade the Philippines, trying to remind the Philippines na ayaw nila talagang pumayag dyan sa pagbahura noong barko na yan. Ito po, basahin natin ito, mga records ng Department of Foreign Affairs. Ito po dapat ang pagtuunan mo ng pansin, Marcos. Ito, basahin po natin itong tungkol sa this has been written in the column of Bobby Tiglao. And Bobby was able to get documents that would show that ang China, hindi lang ngayon, noon pa, sinasabi na at alam ni Defense Secretary Voltaire Gasmin ito. And in fact, may commitment si Voltaire Gasmin. Bakit hindi nyo i-dig up yung mga records na yan para magkaroon ka man lang ng konting knowledge, Mr. McCoy Jr.? Ito po.
Here are two DFA memos, one dated April 23, 2013, from DFA Secretary Del Rosario reporting the Chinese demand for the PH to comply with its agreement made in 1999. The other is from PH, Philippine Ambassador to Beijing, Basilio, dated March 20, 2014, to tell Del Rosario reporting the same demand from the Chinese. I didn't know that Duterte had such powers as in time to travel back to 1999 and even disguise himself as Estrada. By the way, these documents are in the annexes of Philippine versus China arbitration case available online.
Okay. Basahin natin. Pwede bang palakihin yan? Ito, confidential and urgent. Mr. Marcos, sana pakuha mo itong dokumento na ito sa Department of Foreign Affairs. These are official documents. Memorandum for the President. Ito, pinadala ni Albert Del Rosario kay Noynoy Aquino. Cabinet Secretary, Secretary of President, DND, National Security Advisor. Walang kumikibo sa iyo na ito po ang demand ng China since 2013. Ito po, basahin natin. The department wishes to inform the President that the Chinese government already made 3 demands or demarches on the issue of Ayungin Shoal. Okay.
First was on 11 April 2013 when Philippine Ambassador to China, Erlinda Basilio, was called to a meeting with Special Representative Wang Xiaodu of the Department of Boundary and Ocean Affairs of the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Second was on 16 April 2013 when Chinese Ambassador to the Philippines Ma Keqing requested a meeting with Undersecretary Evan Garcia. Third was on 17 April 2013 during the courtesy call of Ambassador Basilio to Chinese Vice Foreign Minister Shang Yeshu. The Ayungin Shoal issue was one of the issues Vice Minister Shang raised with Ambassador Basilio. On the 3 occasions, the Chinese side said the Philippine Navy vessel BRP Sierra Madre, LST-57, on the pretext of being stranded, was illegally grounded on 2nd Thomas Shoal on May 7, 1999. The Chinese side claimed that the Philippine authorities promised China that they would immediately remove the stranded vessel, but they have not done so up to this day. The Chinese side highlighted that the Philippines has not honored the commitment. The Chinese side further alleged that radar facilities have been built on the vessel and mooring ropes were installed around the grounded vessel. The Chinese side said they are afraid that the Philippines will build structures at the shoal in violation of China's sovereignty and also the ASEAN-China Declaration of Conduct of Parties to the South China Sea, DOC. The Chinese side has repeatedly made representations to the Philippines to honor its commitment. They said 14 years have passed and China has given enough time to the Philippines and China has been very patient. Ayan, mga kabansa.
This is the second memorandum, no? Confidential, extremely urgent. That's how the Philippine government then was
Ito yung mga records, no?
Ito.
History.
This was addressed to the Secretary of Foreign Affairs. OSEC, copy furnished, OCO, from Beijing, PE.
Philippine Embassy in Beijing. Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs representations on the Ayungin Shoal, March 7, 2014.
Oh, so this is a reiteration of what we read earlier. Okay.
The embassy was invited for a meeting this afternoon by the Department of Boundary and Ocean Affairs of the Chinese Foreign Ministry to discuss matters relating to Ayungin Shoal. Representative Xiao Jiangguo met with Minister Evangeline Jimenez Docro, Third Secretaries Lily Cheng, and Nomer Ado. The following
Hindi ikaw
points...
yan, ha?
Ha?
Hindi yan ikaw.
Hindi ako yan. Wala na ako sa DFA noon.
Okay.
The following points were conveyed by Representative Xiao through an interpreter. A. The Chinese side heard that the Philippines plans to carry out large-scale construction in Ayungin Shoal, or Second Thomas Shoal, which is in Chinese Nansha Islands. Mr. Xiao referred to Ayungin by its Chinese name Rinai Reef throughout the meeting. So pag may na-mention pong Rinai Reef, Ayungin yun.
Oh.
China expresses grave concern and seeks some clarification. If this is true, he said, China opposes and resolutely objects such course of action. In 1999, the Philippines illegally ran aground a warship in Ayungin, and immediately China made representations and repeatedly made representations to the Philippines to tow away the ship as soon as possible. The Philippines promised China that it would tow away the ship, but it has not done so. The Philippines has no intention of removing this warship and even engaged in construction. The Philippines, quote, has failed on its promise and has engaged in constant illegal activities. Last year's piling and this year's planned construction and reinforcements are cases in point. Letter C. The Philippines has also distorted the fact, misguided the public, and covered up the truth. We believe such actions blatantly overturn the promise of the Philippines. The rhetoric and behavior of the Philippines is provocative to China's sovereignty and sovereign rights, and China will not tolerate such. It is also a severe violation of DOC. China has indisputable sovereignty over Nansha Islands and adjusted waters. D. The Chinese side is asking the Philippines to respect China's sovereignty and sovereign rights, tow away the grounded vessel, and put an end to any construction work or plans and observe its commitments. China would never accept the Philippines occupying the Rinai Reef under any circumstance or in any form. Letter E. If the Philippines chooses to ignore China's major concerns and resolute objections, insists on construction, this would severely violate China's sovereign rights, push China's bottom line, and severely undermine DOC, the peace and stability in the South China Seas. China will not sit idly by and tolerate. We will take resolute measures and actions. This will be further damage to relations.
There will be
further damage to relations. All consequences will be borne by the Philippine side. May record. Ha?
Marcos, hindi ka nagtatanong, hindi ka nagbabasa.
Bakit hindi alam ni Ricky Manalo ito? DFA ito.
So, inaano mo si Duterte na may secret deal. Long before Duterte, mayroon na yan. Bakit hindi mo alam ito na ang China ay talagang nag-i-insist? Kaya nga, makikita mo dito, mga kababayan, noong 2014 pa lang, nag-aalboroto na ang China dyan. Kasi, sinasabi nga nila, nilubog. Nung panahon ni Estrada, yung BRP, Sierra Madre. Okay. Pero, napaka-pasensyaso ng China. Hindi pa tayo ginera. They continued on asking until the time of
Estrada, Gloria,
Duterte.
Aquino, Duterte.
Ito, Duterte. Pero bago niyan, may commitment pa si Voltaire Gasmin. Basahin natin yung tungkol sa yung kay McKeking. This is a news report on
Inquirer.
May
.net.
29, 2013.
Oo.
Okay. So, this was
May picture pa,
a meeting between Gasmin and McKeking.
Oo.
Okay. Basahin natin kung anong napagkasunduan ni Gasmin at ni McKeking. Okay.
China raised its concerns over the Philippines' reported plans of establishing structures on Ayungin Shoal in the disputed West Philippine Sea. Defense Secretary Voltaire Gasmin and Chinese Ambassador to Manila Ma Keqing discussed issues on Ayungin, among other things, on the sidelines of the commemoration of the International Day of United Nations Peacekeepers on Wednesday at Camp Aguinaldo. The two leaders were seen talking for a few minutes after the event. They were concerned with the Philippines coming up with structures, additional structures in the Ayungin Shoal. And I told her that the ship that is moving towards Ayungin is only for provisions of food and water for soldiers who are there. He told reporters when asked what they discussed. The BRP Sierra Madre is the Philippine Navy's detachment on Ayungin Shoal. Gasmin said he assured Ma that the Philippines would not build structures there.
Yan
Quote, "We will not violate the agreement not to construct new structures. We told them we're only bringing supplies for our troops there like water, food. There will also be rotation of troops because if we can't put our men there permanently or else they'll go crazy," he said. He quoted Ma saying that China is continuously monitoring Philippine troops there and whether new structures are being built. The threat is always there. It is always there because we do follow some protocols like avoidance of dangerous maneuvers, avoidance of confrontational moves. So right now, it's holding, and we make sure that when we go there, we have been doing regularly and routinely is the movement of logistics which are unarmed, he said. The Philippines claims Ayungin Shoal is part of its territory as it is located 105 nautical miles from Palawan and is well within the Philippine 200 nautical mile exclusive economic zone under the United Nations, the Convention of the Law of the Sea. On May 10, the Philippines protested the presence of a fleet of Chinese fishing boats accompanied by patrol vessels at Ayungin. Meanwhile, when asked what she discussed with Gasmin, the Chinese ambassador said they talked about balanced relation.
Aside from the concern of Del Rosario, aside from the follow-up of Ambassador Basilio, at saka yung emphatically commitment of Gasmin na they will not. So, ito yung ironclad. Ito yung matatawag mo na ironclad na commitment ng gobyerno ni Noynoy Aquino to the Secretary of National Defense. Very clear, sinabi ni Gasmin dito sa report na to, that I will not, the country, the Philippines, will not deliver construction materials. Paring ano masasabi mo?
Nagsisimula ito kasi sa malaking kapalpakan, isang fallacy, mismo sa bibig ng ating Pangulo, at even dun sa report ng Inquirer, na ang Ayungin Shoal ay teritoryo natin.
Okay.
Doon nagsisimula ang
So,
problema.
kung nasa Korte Suprema tayo, what is the issue of the case. Okay. Whether or not, ito yon, whether or not Ayungin Shoal is within the sovereignty of the Philippines, or does the Philippines exercise sovereign rights, or does China claim sovereignty over that? Okay, first, what is the basis for China to claim sovereignty? Paring Ado. Hindi ba yung 9-dash line?
Ang pinatutungkulan ng
Okay.
20...
Kailangan malaman ng ating mga kababayan kung saan ang punot dulo nito eh. Okay. Ayungin Shoal, which is part of the, ano ba yan?
Spratly.
Part ng Spratly yan. Pati Red Bank kasama dyan.
Kasama
Okay,
dyan.
Okay, sige. So, sabihin mo kung ano ang basihan ng China. Bakit sinasabi nila they exercise sovereignty over the Ayungin Shoal?
Ang claim ng China dyan is based on historical rights. Okay? Hindi ko na pakakahabaan. I will just go to as far as
Okay,
the first Sino-Japanese.
how does this sovereign right sovereignty manifested? Yun yung their claim for the 9-dash line, di ba? Okay.
Yung 9-dash line ay drawing lamang ng historical rights nila.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
pero
ibig sabihin, nasakop nila yung Spratly dyan sa 9-dash line.
yes, nasakop nila yan. At
Okay.
sa kasaysayan, inagaw yan ng bansang Hapon sa kanila.
Okay.
To make the long story
Nagkaroon
short.
ng gera.
Nagkaroon ng
China at saka Japan.
dalawang
Okay.
gera.
Nakuha niya naagaw yan ng Japan.
Inokupahan ng Japan.
Inukupahan ng Japan kasi natalo ang China. Okay. Nagkaroon ngayon ng treaty. Nagka-settlement. Dahil
Hindi, naunahan yung gera ng China at saka Japan
okay.
na sapawa ng World War II.
Okay.
Okay. Ngayon, nung masapawa ng World War II yan, sumama ang China sa Allied Forces laban sa Japan.
So, kung nakakaintindi tayo paano nag-umpisa yung gera sa Japan and China, nasapawa ng pag-occupy or pagbanat ng mga Hapon sa Pearl Harbor.
Pero bago pa yon kasi
Tapos nag-occupy ang mga Hapon dito sa Pilipinas. Okay. Nag-away ang China at saka Japan.
Bago pa man
Nag-invade ang Japan sa China. Okay.
So, actually 1939 ho,
Okay.
1938-39 inokupay ng Japan ang Spratly at Paracel Islands, no. Bago pa man 1941. So, yan okupado ho ng Japan, no? During World War II. No? Kinuha yan sa China. Pagkatapos niyan, noong 1943, umapila si Chiang Kai-shek kay Winston Churchill at kay Franklin Delano Roosevelt at nag-meeting sila sa Cairo. At sa Cairo Declaration ng 1943, nakalagay na lahat ng inagaw o ninakaw, actually, stole yung salita. All territories stolen by Japan from China will be returned
To China.
to China.
Which includes
The Spratlys.
Okay. So, in other words, at that time, wala pa tayong claim. Malayo pa tayo.
Wala pa.
Kasi bubut pa ang Pilipinas eh. Ang China, higanti na yan. At Japan, higanti na rin yan. So, natalo ng Allied Forces ang Japan sa World War II.
Pero bago magpirmahan ng surrender, nag-meeting uli sa Potsdam. Nagkaroon ng Potsdam Declaration. At sa Section 8 ng Potsdam Declaration, sinasabi na lahat ng nasa Cairo Conference ay still holds. Ngayon, nung matapos ang gera,
In other words, inadapt ng Potsdam Declaration yung
Cairo
Declaration.
Declaration.
Which means that Spratly, together with other islands,
Stolen
is
from-
now in the ownership or within the possession of China.
We will be returned to
Will
China.
be returned to China.
Nagkaroon ng attempt to return this in 1951, pero dahilan sa dalawa ang China noon, People's Republic of China at saka Republic of China,
Nag-away.
hindi nakuha yan sa San Francisco 1951 Peace Treaty.
Oo.
Pero 1 year after, isinauli yan ng Japan sa China, sa Taipei, sa Treaty of Taipei. 1952 na. Ayan.
Oh,
So,
pero
naisuli ho
sandali.
yan.
Importante malaman ng ating mga kababayan kung kanino yan tinurn over kasi dalawang China at the time. Was it turned over to the Chiang Kai-shek or to the People's Republic of China kay Mao Zedong?
Well, ang humarap noong 1952 was yung kay Chiang Kai-shek dahil yung kay Chiang Kai-shek, ang member, ang naging member ng Allied
Kasi
Power,
mayroong ano dyan may twist dyan
ang Allied Power, at subsequently, siya ang naging member ng United Nations.
Ang Taipei.
Ang Taiwan,
Taiwan.
Yung kay Chiang Kai-shek, yung
Okay.
Republic of China.
Okay.
Oo.
How did mayroon din yang mayroon din yung subsequent that the United States siya pa nga ang
Tumulong.
nag-pressure at nag-create nitong One China policy. At dahil dyan, itong
1971 na yan.
1971, wala pa rin tayong claim dyan.
Wala pa rin tayong claim dyan.
Wala pa rin tayo. In 1971, nagkaroon ng declaration ng One China policy at itong Spratly ay napunta na sa
Lahat ng na-turn over sa Republic of China, therefore, the People's Republic of China became the legal successor in interest.
okay.
Ayan.
Kasi hindi na ni-recognize na China ang
Taiwan.
Taiwan. Okay.
By the United
So,
Nations.
ito po yung sequence kung paano
Meron pa isa.
nagki-claim ang China dyan na kanila yung
Oo.
sovereignty over that. Okay.
Meron pa isang development. In 1975, the Philippines officially recognized China, People's Republic of
Under
China.
the One China policy.
Under the One China policy, and we opened diplomatic relations with China.
So,
Marcos
okay. Let
and Zhou Enlai.
Chow Enlai. Okay. Met.
Oh.
Okay. Okay. So, ito. Ang tanong. Noong panahon ba na yon?
May claim ba?
May claim ba ang Pilipinas na may sovereignty tayo dyan?
Wala
Sa
pa.
Spratly na yan?
Wala pa.
Pero ang China has continuously and historically claimed sovereignty over that area. Kailangan malaman ng Pilipino kasi kung mamamatay tayo sa gera,
Dapat alam natin.
alam natin bakit tayo namatay or bakit tayo magpakamatay.
O bakit tayo sinubo?
Bakit tayo sinubo? Okay. So, in 1975, China pa, historically. Kaya, mayroon silang kiniklaim na sovereignty over that. Okay.
At
Kailan yung naggawa ng batas si Marcos?
1978.
1978.
That's the...
While China was exercising sovereignty over that land, gustong sapawan ni Marcos yung sovereignty ng China.
Gumawa tayo ng claim sa 10 to 11 features of the Spratlys noong 1978 under Presidential Decree 1596.
Okay. So what does that anong mandate ng Presidential Decree ni McCoy Sr.?
That's the mandate of a law because
Yes,
it's a
but-
legislation yun.
But that is internal kasi hindi naman we will be counterclaiming from China.
Yes. So,
Ay, anong ang batas?
tayo ang nagka-counterclaim.
Oo.
On the basis of terra nullius. Wala raw nangyayari doon. Uninhabited daw yun. So, yun. Yun ang rason ng 1596.
Okay. So, nag-occupy ba tayo dyan?
Nag-occupy tayo. Actually, we started occupying as early as 1975. May relasyon na tayo sa China.
Pero China has countered that.
Meron. Meron mga counter moves. So, yun ang ano. Remember, Secretary, that during that time, hindi pa ganito kalakas ang China. Meron pa siyang mga minimend na fences. Yung economy niya, inaayos niya, yung kagutuman.
So, hindi niya naasikaso.
Hindi
Pero, legally speaking, mayroong dokumento talaga, unlike us na presidential decree lang, mayroong dokumento na international na nagsasabi na tinurn over ito ng Hapon sa China. Okay? So, that is the legal basis of China. Hindi lang yung 9-line. So, ngayon, at least alam natin kung magkipag-away tayo ang nananakop ng teritoryo.
Nananakop.
Ng teritoryo. Okay?
Nagkakamkam.
Nangangangkam ng teritoryo. Pero, siyempre, Pilipino tayo, siyempre, kanino ba tayo kakampi? Kakampi tayo sa ating Pilipinas. Maski alam nating mali, tayo, kakampi tayo dahil we are patriotic, we are nationalistic. Di ba? Pero, deep inside us, are we really willing to die knowing that wala naman talaga tayong karapatan? Talo tayo talaga sa ikangay Kasi, ang ina-argue naman, dahil nga signatory ang China sa UNCLOS at saka ang sinasabi ng UNCLOS ay, ito naman ang i-explain natin.
Yung kabilang dako.
Kabilang dako. Kailan ba napanganak ang UNCLOS?
Ang UNCLOS ay nagsimula mag-usap yan 1955, 1960.
Kailan tayo naging member?
1960, pero na-adapt yan 1982.
So, beyond
the...
So, in 1982, to be reckoned with.
To be effective in 1994.
Presuming. So, dahil dinipay na ngayon ng UNCLOS, ito, kailangan din natin. Since UNCLOS has certain provisions, definition, sinasabi doon, nagkaroon ngayon tayo ng idea about EEC.
Kung paano
nagkaroon tayo ng
i-dribble yung issue.
Hindi. Nagkakaroon tayo ngayon ng reckoning na, may EEC pala, pwede pala, atin pala yan. May sovereign rights pala tayo as defined by the UNCLOS. Mayroon pala tayong sovereign right, sovereignty if within the 12 nautical
mile.
Pero, whatever the UNCLOS mandates, it does not change the reality that China has continued exercising sovereignty and sovereign rights over those So doon nagka-conflict.
Hindi lang sa legalidad, sa presensya, sa posisyon, at sa enforcement. Effective control, which in international law is customary law.
Okay. So, the arbitration, the arbitral ruling, kaya hindi sumali ang China, kasi they are claiming that they are not bound by the UNCLOS but by certain international law
Proceeding.
On the basis of historical rights. Yun ba ang diyan?
Yeah.
Ang pinapairal ng China na hindi kami bound dyan sa arbitral ruling kasi hindi naman kami. Hindi naman namin kinikilala yan dahil bago pa kayo pinanganak diyan, bago pa kayo inano diyan, kami na diyan. Parang yun ang sinasabi po ng China.
In fact, amin na yan. Sabi ng China, even before you got your independence. So, yun. Yun ang isa sa
So, yun mga kababayan, ang punot dulo dyan. Ngayon, dahil nag-arbitral tayo, dahil doon sa Scarborough Shoal, that all started na talagang actual occupation na ang China dyan. Nagpasaklolo na tayo sa arbitral
tribunal.
justice. Ano ba yung Court of Justice?
A permanent court of arbitration.
Arbitration.
Which is an arbitral court.
Now, an arbitration can only be effective if both parties agree. Di ba? But China never agreed. So, this will really be a continuing conflict. Now, maraming nagmamarunong dito. Ngayon, umabot na sa party ni Duterte. Bakit pinagdadaldal ni Marcos na may secret deal? Sinabi ni Duterte, walang secret deal. Mayroong gentleman's agreement for status quo. Now, let us explain ano yung concept ng status quo dito. Okay. Ang status quo dito is just a transitional from the Aquino to the Duterte. Although Duterte, medyo may konting twist lang kasi naging friendly siya sa China. And sinasabi ni Duterte, alam ni Lorenzana yan, alam ni Anyo, alam ni Cayetano, alam ni Ricky Manalo yan, dahil USEC naman siya noon, or ambassador siya. Alam niya yan lahat na Duterte only agreed to the status quo. Why? He was forced to it dahil mahal niya ang Pilipino. He doesn't want na magkagera dahil as early as 2013, 2014, nag-i-insist ang China na pinapaalis nila yung BRP, Sierra Madre, o hindi man, huwag magdala ng materials. So, can Duterte insist? May panggera ba tayo, mga kababayan? Ngayon, ito ang sinasabi ni Carpio. Dahil nga daw may secret deal ito, pakinggan natin itong Carpio na ito.
He agreed not to bring construction materials. And we have the exclusive right to put up a structure. Ang ginawa niya, krinipol niya yung ating right. Reduce niya yung right natin. Ang sabi ni Duterte, that is just personal agreement. Kahit na siya, hindi niya mapaklaro sa China kung anong klaseng agreement yon. Gusto niya, personal lang, gentleman's agreement. Pero ang China, sabi nila, that is a state-to-state agreement. Ano klaseng presidente yon? Hindi niya alam anong ginagawa niya. Any undue advantage given by Duterte to China is a violation of the anti-graft law. So pwede yung gagamitin na yun. At saka yung prescription period nito is 20 years. So in the next 20 years, from 2022, June 30, 2022, he can be charged and prosecuted for this, no?
This guy, is really for the books.
Rabble-rouser.
Chinese looking, claiming himself to be an expert. I never thought he was an expert. Well, he cannot even teach us a real good negotiable instruments or corporation law. Hirap na hirap kaming mag-intindi nito nung professor ko pa itong Chekwa.
Naging professor.
Chekwa looking ko ito Chekwa looking
sa
dito.
UP? Sa UP ba?
Yeah, he was my professor in negotiable instruments and corporation law. Hirap na hirap ako mag-intindi dahil paikot-ikot yung at saka binabasa lang niya yung libro.
Balik-balik.
Anyway, maski paano, pumasa pa rin naman ako dahil medyo matalino naman tayo ng konti. Anyway, whatever he says is all lies. Duterte never made an agreement with Xi Jinping. The status quo ante only pertains to the agreement Noynoy Aquino with Voltaire Gasmin agreed with China na hindi papayag ang China na magdala ng construction. Ito, he's putting words into the mouth of Duterte that Duterte agreed daw with Xi Jinping na hindi papayag na magdala ng construction. It's undue advantage. Tingnan mo ang sagot ni Duterte dito sa he calls this guy an idiot. Unang-una, apply ito ng maging Chief Justice sa panahon ni Duterte. Duterte never considered him. Why? Pakinggan natin si Duterte why. Ito. Tingnan natin yung daldal ni Duterte against this Carpio.
Itong Carpio na ito, ayunan. Bakit kung ibigay ko yung ayunan sure, Juster Carpio, kung hindi ka ibigay ko na lang yung South China Sea. Hindi ko nga alam kung saan yung ayunan. At ito, Justice Carpio, sabihin ko sa iyo, if China would decide to erect a naval base there in the island nearest us, can you stop it? Ano mo yan, Supreme Court ruling mo dyan? Papel lang yan, idiot. It cannot stop a war. Hindi nadadala ito sa salita. We presidents, at one time or another, had that solemn duty, sacred duty, to protect the Filipino people. Ikaw, yung theories mo, baka scholar ka pa niya. Huwag mo ako mapabilib, kilala kita, taga-Davao kayo. Maaga ka lang ng political connection, kaya ka naging justice. Bulahin mo ako. Yan ang totoo. Madali kasi ito sila magsabi that we should insist. And if China would say, no, you cannot insist, what can you do?
Alam mo, Secretary,
Yes.
naniniwala tayo dito kay... ang tao, naniniwala rito kay Carpio dahil dati naka-robe to No? At saka ang dating mahistrado,
Nang bubola. Pero, alam mo ba?
Associate Justice, may titulo, pero idiot pala, sabi ni Duterte.
Idiot yan talaga dahil may kaso yung misis ko. Pinahilan ng disqualification case yung kalaban sa politika na hindi Pilipino, hindi natural born. Nag-decide na 14 justices. Isa itong pumirma. He decided the case, he signed his signature. Binawi, ewan ko kung anong nangyari, nagkabayaran ba or I don't know. Naggawa pa siya ng article na reflection. Binawi niya yung after he has signed, after they have approved unanimously, declaring that the opponent of my wife in the political is not a natural born Filipino. Aba, binawi niya yung kaya tama si Duterte na magsabing idiot talaga itong tao na ito. This guy is really that one as Duterte has spoken. Kaya and claiming to be an expert. You're not an expert, Carpio. Kaya nga hindi ka naging Supreme Court Chief Justice because nobody believes you that you're an expert. Tingnan mo yung mga desisyon mo, paltos. Tingnan natin to si Hardilesa. Ito ang tunay na brilliant. Ito si Hardilesa, maski Noynoy Aquino ito, pero hindi siya believe. At he is very realistic, objective. At tingnan mo, pakinggan mo na tama yung ginawa ni Duterte.
Was there anything unconstitutional, frankly, with what former President Duterte did? He said he just agreed to the status quo in the South China Sea, the West Philippine Sea issue. He said it's an agreement to the status quo. Is that unconstitutional?
Well, not necessarily. The thing, Karen, is the president gets the mandate from the people. At that time, remember, President Aquino started the arbitration. And then comes President Duterte. He has a slightly different view. But I think we should remember President Duterte for what he said in the UN. Very clearly, in a speech in the UN, he said, we have the arbitral award. Now, we have President Marcos. President Duterte has said what he has said. So I would rather, President Marcos has said that whatever agreement President Duterte had, he would not necessarily abide with it. So we should respect each other's views. And I think the President Marcos is on the right track today. But we should not necessarily, we are up against a giant, Karen. We should marshal all our efforts into getting what is good for the Philippines. So we should not, I think our leaders should refrain from, for example, I hear that they want to have a Senate hearing. What for? President Duterte has said what he has said. So President Marcos has said he does not agree with what Duterte said. President Marcos is our present president. He has the mandate of the people. He is the chief architect of foreign policy. So I think if the Senate wants to do something, it should be just to try to influence the president. For example, Karen, we won big in that arbitral award. We won big on the environment. Now, last year, Secretary Remulla called me and another lawyer. I thought he was going to file a case to get damages. Now, I think they have brought in the Solicitor General into the National Security Group, the task force. So that should be the effort. Huwag na tayong tagisan ng kung ano-ano, masamang salita. Kasi we are all Filipinos.
Okay, now, Justice, this so-called agreement that former President Duterte had with China, do you believe it gave away the Ayungin Shoal? Because that's what former Senior Associate Justice Carpio said.
What do you think gave away?
Yeah, Ayungin Shoal.
No, we did not
Lose Ayungin Shoal.
Nobody gave away Ayungin Shoal. That's still part of our territory. Our brave soldiers are there. We did not. Nobody gave it away. I do not agree with anybody. That's un-Filipino to say that anybody gave it away. You see, if we are before a tribunal now and somebody says we gave it away, mag-ingat tayo because we have to be careful with what we say. Yun ang sinasabi ko.
The context is if by agreeing with China not to repair BRP Sierra Madre and only agree to supplies for water and food, according to Carpio, kung lumubog yun, nawala na tayo. This is his exact quote. Papasok ang China. Parang ibinigay niya ang Ayungin Shoal sa China.
You know, Karen, if you read one of the papers today has an account that despite what President Duterte allegedly said, we continued up to Lorenzana. He was still with President PRRD, I think. Up to the end, in fact, the paper reports that they were inside the resupply vessel and they brought planks, they brought equipment to refurbish. So this is what I'm saying. This is foreign affairs. Sometimes you say something and then the lawyers will say, okay, that's it. But you can do something else. The term being used is discarte. Discarte because we are not a strong nation. We have to face it. So I find this is not productive to go back. What we should do is to go forward. We have an award. President Duterte has said before the UN that we have this award. Okay, President Marcos is now in office. He has the mandate of the people. He doesn't believe in status quo. So, but there's one big difference, Karen. During the time when we filed the arbitral award, nobody was on our side. Okay, then we got the award. When we got the award, I met with Secretary Ochoa and then incoming Secretary Yasay, and they asked, please don't say anything. Kasi January 30, pumasok si PRRD. And so we did not do anything. And then the award came in, and the president, PRRD, was very careful. So what he did was I think he just said, okay, let's have peace, let's have the status quo. Now we have so many allies. Now, for example, when we filed the case, nobody from the US said this is at the US Defense Treaty is ironclad. Now we have the President of the United States. Kaya mas matapang ng konti ngayon na presidente natin. So wag na natin halongkatin ang kasi nung time ni President Duterte, nung time ni President Aquino, wala tayo noon. I also hear that President Duterte said, kung gano'n na, padala nyo nga ang 7th Fleet sa Ayungin, hindi wala tapos na. So I think my point is, let us be careful na we only have one president, we only have one foreign policy. Tama naman ang ginagawa ni President Marcos.
Yeah.
Tama naman. Now, ang nakaraan, wag na natin. Ang ano diyan, Karen, every president has a time, every president has a mandate. We vote for different presidents. Sometimes ang presidente mo nanalo, sometimes natalo. We serve only once. But unti-unti, nasusulong ba ang interest natin? Yun ang punto ko.
Ito ang expert, hindi yung si Carpio. Kasi ito, talagang he was in the thick of the fight. I recall Justice Hardilesa was then the OSG. In fact,
Solicitor
he was the
General.
Solicitor General. And in fact, I think he was the one that prepared the
Siya nagdala ng kaso.
the petition for arbitration. Oh. Si Carpio, salimpusa lang yan. Wala naman yan, nakikisali-sali lang itong check, walking na ito eh.
He was not officially a member of the delegation.
Oh. Now,
Siya at yung asawa niya, sumasama-sama lang doon. Nakikihalo-halo lang doon. No? Siya at yung kanyang Vietnamese na asawa.
Yeah. But anyway, whatsoever, it just caught my attention yung sinasabi ni Justice Hardilesa na, Marcos, noon wala tayong mga kakampi, ngayon may kakampi na tayo, which is the United States. Pero maraming nagsasabi, hindi lang tayo kakampi, naging chimoy na tayo ng Amerika. Bakit kaya naging chimoy tayo? When Marcos visited China, met with Xi Jinping, he was announcing to the whole world that our foreign policy was we are friends of all and an enemy to none. Pagdating sa Amerika, pagpunta niya doon, bakit suddenly hindi na niya friend ang China, friend na niyang Amerika? What convinced him? Mga kababayan, mayroong maraming sabi-sabi. Magkano ba? Magkano ba? Marcos, magkano ba daw? Ito, mayroong report dito sa Asian Week. Ito, sabi-sabi nila ito na ito daw ang nakapagbaliktad kay Marcos. As to how true it is, well, who cares if I believe? Who cares if Ado believes? But, konsensya na lang ng mga taong bayan, kung nabasa nila ito at naniniwala sila na binenta tayo ni Marcos sa Amerika. Ito, pakinggan natin ito. Basahin mo, paring Ado.
Palakihan natin ng konti.
Pakinggan natin ng konti.
Itong Asia Week ngayon, ay in Chinese version, so ito ang translation. In the latest issue of Asia Week, the magazine draws from many inside sources the reason why Marcos Jr. made the 180-degree in Philippine foreign policy and turned against China. PBBM made a Faustian bargain with the Americans to reclaim $61 billion of the Ferdinand Enralin Marcos Sr. estate. Lumalabas dito ang may sikreto si Bongbong Marcos.
Yan ang may secret deal. Hindi si
Ikaw ang
Duterte.
may secret deal.
Now we challenge you, Mr. Marcos, wag lang magpa-drug test ka. Sabihin mo rin, kasi tinatanong mo si Duterte, what's the secret deal? Ngayon, tatanungin din namin, ano ba rin ang secret deal mo kay Biden? What is your secret deal, Marcos? Kay Biden. Ikaw paring hindi mo ba tatanungin siya?
Tinatanong ko na nga Dahil ang mga deklarasyon niya nakahubog para itulak yung mga Amerikano na sumuporta sa kanya sa panggigera against China nang wala naman tayong naiintindihang dahilan at sumasakit pa ang ating bulsa dahil hindi niya ma-address yung sinasabi ni Amy Marcos kanina ng mga economic problems ng bansa.
Sabi ni Inday Sara, gutom, taas na presyo. Sabi naman ni Amy, wala kang mga infrastruktura, pobre yung agricultural sector, wala kang pinagtuunan kundi charter chains. Ito lahat bunga na mag-concentrate siya sa pagkatsimoy ng Amerika. Kasi, inutusan siya ni Biden, pare, punta ka sa Australia, kumbinsihin mo sila na sumuporta siya sa allies against China. Punta ka sa Germany. At the expense of the Filipino people's money. Nilulustay mo ang pera ng Pilipino.
Tama mo, Japan.
Pinag-uutos sa'yo ng Amerikano. Ngayon, kinakampihan mo ang pumapatay ng mga Pilipino. How many millions did Japan? Mayroon kayong tripartite? Ano ba ang tawag?
Tripartite, trilateral.
Trilateral. Doon sa mga tao, mga countries na may masamang historya sa ating bansa. How many Filipinos did the Japanese kill?
At least 1 million.
1 million.
Noong World War II.
How many Filipinos did the Americans kill?
About 200,000 in a series of massacres.
May pinitay ba ang China?
Wala.
Pero ilang Chinese na kagaya nitong congressman, ilang Chinese na mga nandito sa Pilipinas, tulad nitong congressman na pinaparesign si Inday Sara, na nakikinabang sa Pilipinas. Pero ang mga ninuno nila, ang dami-daming mga Chinese dito sa Binondo.
Bibigay.
Naghahanap buhay, naninirahan, pero yung mga lolo, mga kapatid, mga nandoon sa China. Yung mga investment nila nandoon sa China. Pero dito, claiming to be Filipino citizens. I mean, with your respect, do you really expect these people in the time of war, tulad nung prior to the Second World War, sinasabi nila may maraming mga Hapon na naninirahan sa Pilipinas, mga naglalako ng balot, Pero pag dating nung gera, mga sundalo pala at mga officers pala, mga spy pala ng Japan. Now, you cannot blame us for thinking that mayroong mangyayari na ganyan.
Ang statistics, Secretary, is that there are about 24 million Filipino-Chinese. No? Yung mga Chinese of Chinese descent na nag-turn Filipino na citizens. But there are 1.3 million pure Chinese who are residing in the Philippines.
Yung mga nagbabayad sa Bureau of Immigration para ma-extend yung kanilang tourist visa.
So, ang mangyayari dyan, napaka-complicated yan
Oo.
Naghahanap tayo ng, si Marcos, biyahe ng biyahe, naghahanap ng investor. Tapos, ilalaban niya sa China. Eh di itong mga na-investor na Chinese dito ngayon, na pagkadami-dami, eh di aalis lahat yan.
In fact, mayroong si Nikki Cositeng, may interview. Sinasabi niya, itong mga gunggong daw na nag-question ngayon sa mga Chinese students, hindi nagre-research. There are more Indian students.
Yes,
Ha?
yes.
More than, naging doktor, maraming mga, ibang mga taga-ibang bansa na nagiging estudyante dito. Pero dahil lang dito, para makapapel, makasip-sip, itong mga congressman from Isabela or from Cagayan,
Si Lara.
sinasabi na nire-report na marami lang Chinese spy.
4,600 daw.
Kung yun ang argument
428
nyo,
lang.
hindi lang mga yan. What about the half-bred Chinese who are making money in this country? Anong masasabi mo dyan? Couldn't also be a possible spy or a possible
Sleeper cells daw.
sleeper cells? Kasi kagaya ng itong nilagay ni Marcos na advisor. Itong Go. I challenge him. Kadami-dami niyang board of directors siya or chairman of the board ng Chinese corporation, Chinese Real Estate Corporation. Do you honestly believe na if push comes to shove, ano ang loyalty niyan? Hindi natin alam.
Pero
I can only guess.
ang statistics, secretary, meron ding about 300,000 American passport holders who are residing in the Philippines. And yet, wala akong naririnig na may sleeper cells dito ang Amerika.
Yung India nga
Yung India.
20 plus thousand daw, sabi ni Nikki Cositeng. May sleeper
Grabe.
cell ba yan? Yun lang po.
Huwag tayong maging rasismo.
Mga racist.
Masama ho yan sa ating
Pero
imahe.
panahon ni Duterte, love na love natin ang mga Chinese investors. Pinapasok natin ang pinapasok. Ang mga
tulay,
the real estate
infrastructure.
industry made so much money in the Chinese visits here.
Okay.
Okay? So, yun lang po, mga kababayan.
Huwag
Magandang hapon.
Okay. Huwag
Muli.
kalimutang mag-subscribe dito sa Iparas kay Paras at sa aking YouTube at Ado Paglinawan. Maraming salamat po. Magpaalam na tayo, Secretary.
Magandang hapon po din sa inyo lahat. Iparas kay Paras.